to the show. This is The Force Always. My name is Diz, aka David Zammit. Let's get on with the show with the news, the views, the reviews, and interviews. Let me today say to you, in Melbourne, Australia, it is 44 degrees. It is unheard of that type of temperature to regularly happen in where I live. Just to let you know. Why am I wearing this jacket? Is because I'm The Force Always. Let's get on with the actual news. So today we have a big announcement that a rumour, let me say rumour, that Kathleen Kennedy is actually going to be replaced by Dave Filoni, the creative head at Lucasfilm, and another person whose name is Lin-Wen Brennan. Lin-Wen Brennan. Replaced by those two. So you've got a business side and a creative side, which I think is actually a very good idea, because one doesn't really know about the other and the other doesn't know about the other side. Business and creatives can really come to head sometimes, and that piece of news is a welcome transition. My thoughts on the whole Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni and Lin-Wen Brennan a bit later in the show. But to more news, well, that's right. As I usually say, I'm hot on the pulse about this Mandalorian and Grogu next trailer or teaser, whatever we're getting. And no news is good news. But technically with the trailer, I wouldn't say it's good news, because I'm really dying to see a proper trailer come through. Because of the breaking news, or the big news I've just mentioned, it may be held off for a good couple of weeks, or it may cause it to be out there to distract everyone from the whole transition of Kathleen Kennedy to Dave Filoni and Lin-Wen Brennan. But yes, we're still waiting for the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer. I predicted, my next prediction is a Monday Night Football, NFL, that's American football, where they will probably present a teaser to say, watch tomorrow, the trailer will be online at certain time. That's my next prediction. When that would be exactly, I'm unsure. But also with the Starfighter movie coming out 2027. Mandalorian is coming out this year, 2026. But Starfighter is coming out in 2027, as most Star Wars fans would probably know by now. But there is no news that is good news. And that's good. It's comforting to know that things are going smoothly, I guess, because there's no news. Anyway, that's the news for this time around. Let's get into the views. The views is my story ideas that I have. And I always say, recently anyway, just to really sort of push the point, is I accept the story of Star Wars for what it is. I accept it. The journey of Star Wars has been up and down. Not to say that the whole Star Wars thing is, 100% great, but I accept the story for what it is. I'm not being spoon-fed and saying, well, you just eat it up because that's what you're going to have. No. I accept the story for what it is, because that is the story. Unless you have technically more than $4 billion to pay Disney, who they paid George Lucas, and I think that's an American, then you have the right to say what you have to say about Star Wars in story form. Anyway, my story idea this time around is to do with the biggest, big news that I announced yesterday, which was Beggars Canyon, which is a fan film. I would like to put out there, big time, I reckon if this person, this particular YouTube channel, were to create a feature-length film, I would be absolute. This is my story idea to give them, if they're somehow watching or someone's connected to them, I don't know. But my story idea is I would love to see them tackle Darth Plagueis. I reckon that would be just amazing. You don't have to rely on a lot of things besides the novelization, the storyline of what Darth Plagueis is about and what happens and when and how and all that. But there's a lot to be actually just created. And I reckon it would just be, if anyone is going to do a feature length film for YouTube, I'm wishing it won't get taken down quickly, because I would love to see, and especially a Darth Plagueis film. It would be. I'm not one to go backwards, and I'm not one for characters, but this particular part of Star Wars is something that I'm intrigued with, and I'm sure a lot of hardcore Star Wars fans would be as well. That's my story idea that I'm putting out to, I think it's Lost Legends. That is the YouTube channel that the Beggars Canyon came from, and they also have an Ewok little short film, fan film as well. Amazing. Just go over there and just check it out. It's just remarkable. The story is the highlight. The AI just makes the world, if you can understand what I'm saying. But anyway, so that's the views for this time around. Let's get into reviews. Reviews this time around is a classic figure I've got. Now, I've got to say, the Attack of the Clones packaging was not the greatest. It does look retro, it does look sort of old school, but this particular Yoda, this was the first and not the only, but the first Yoda that came out of Attack of the Clones. Now, Yoda in Attack of the Clones, we first see spring to life with his lightsaber action. It was one of the highlights of the film. Like, it was just like, how could Yoda actually use a lightsaber? Well, he just rocked it. He rocked it with Dooku and Anakin and Obi-Wan. It was, I think personally, it was a really good part of Attack of the Clones. The packaging looks very retro, looks very like, 80s and 70s or sort of feeling. But this is the figure that sort of embraces that sort of moment in the film of Attack of the Clones. I am giving this a 10 out of 10. I'm going to actually downgrade it. It's a 9.5 out of 10, because I just don't think the packaging was, really creative for Attack of the Clones. It was just sort of like, let's do something that people will sort of think it's old school. That's what I think anyway. It is good, but it's not great. Like I thought the Phantom Menace packaging was much better. And definitely Revenge of the Sith, they really got their act together in sort of a lot of packaging for the figures, classic figures. But this one here, 9.5 out of 10. The Yoda that actually celebrates the scene that Yoda rocked a lightsaber for the first time on camera. It was great. It was amazing. And that is in the canon. That's in the canon storyline for Star Wars in the cinematic sort of thing. That's for Yoda really rocking the joint, with the lightsaber. Great. 9.5 out of 10. Check that one out. Beautiful. Look at it. Even the back. Look at that. Woo! Anyway, so now let's get into, if you notice, I got some ice in here because it is hot. It is hot here down under. Ooh. Sort of funny way to say, but anyway, it is hot. Let's get into the interviews. And interviews is usually my comment section in the YouTube channel from the last particular video. I highly suggest, if you want your comment or question to be surfaced, I really look at the last thing that I do. So this one today, if you've got any comments or questions, put it on this particular video. It will be seen in the next video. I don't have an Instagram thing at the moment. I don't have an X or Twitter or TikTok. I don't have actually X or Twitter at all. I used to have it, but it somehow died. TikTok I don't have. I'm going to get into that, but for me, I'm just here as the Force always. That's it. So let's get into the questions. And our favourite, Michael from Werribee South, which is on the other side of Melbourne, Still in the same heat of 44 degrees here today in Melbourne, Australia. If that is not your type of temperature where you come from, like America, 44 degrees is quite cold, but 44 degrees here is seriously hot. Anyway, so let's get into the questions. Now, Star Wars fan Mike J. Nichols released a fan edit of Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, entitled The Phantom Edit, in which, along other smaller changes, he almost entirely removed which controversial character voiced by Ahmed Best. Come on. I met Ahmed Best. Ahmed Best is a great man, and that was Jar Jar Binks that he removed. Apparently, I've not seen this sort of the Phantom edit. I think personally, I accept that this person just didn't like Jar Jar Binks at all. I don't think it's that bad, but if that person had a problem with Jar Jar Binks, for him. But, Ahmed Best put his best into that role, and I feel for Ahmed Best, even today, he's a much healthier person mentally. He did have an issue with the onslaught of fan dislike way back in the day. I think he's great as a person and as the character. The character to me is just another wacky alien in the Star Wars universe. Yes, it's a bit goofy, but you need variations of aliens. But everyone has their own opinion. That's what we are here for. All films are subjective. That's it. Anyway, so the next question from Michael from Werribee South is, in Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, Anakin Skywalker tells Padme Amidala that he doesn't like what four-letter Yo byproduct of rock corrosion, claiming it's too coarse, rough, and irritating, and it gets everywhere. My God, Michael, you're dealing with a fan here. Look, I'm not Mr. Trivia. Like I can't win Star Wars trivia. Let me tell you. But that one is a classic dislike by a lot of fans, and also sort of even Hayden Christensen sort of has fun with it. But it is sand. It is sand. What is coarse and rough and irritating and gets everywhere? Sand, especially when you go to the beach. And it's beach weather out there today, my friends, in Melbourne, Australia. 44 degrees. But remember, we've got this slogan from the 80s. It's called Slip, Slop, Slap. That means slip on a t-shirt, slop on some sunscreen, and slap on a hat. It's way back in the 80s. Just, when you're old like me, you get to remember slogans like that. That's an Australian ad way back in the day. Slip, slop, slap. Anyway, let's get on to more. Now we've got thank goodness, a non-Michael from Werribee South question or comment, but I'm all for Michael. But anyway, this guy named Andrew Wattenborough Watham 4697. I'm wishing I've not butchered your name, my goodness, but it's Andrew Wattenborough 2000. So look, it's Andrew Wattenborough 4697. I reckon I butchered your name. I'm really sorry if I have. That's how I'm reading it. I'm actually reading this for the first time. I've not even previewed the questions this time around. I just, I'm going for a freestyle. He has said, or asking, I'm unsure what it is, crazy about AI movies being made online. I like them these days. I agree with you. Since the release of the sequel trilogy movies and now Disney Plus stuff. Again, crazy about AI movies crazy about AI movies being made online. I like them these days. I agree with you. Since the release of the sequel trilogy movies and now Disney Plus stuff. It's a comment. And it's thank you for agreeing with myself. I don't expect people to agree with my opinion. I agree with this person. We agree. That's great. Harmony is created. But I'm really sorry about butchering your name, which I'm sure I have. But I've got to get back onto that one. Anyway, let's get into it now. Michael from Werribee South is back on. Nicholson detailed her own experience with the hotel, mainly noting problems with customer service and glitches in the app that prevented her from engaging with the story. In Nicholson's opinion, the Star Cruise experience failed to justify the hotel's high cost. Now, what Michael's talking about is the Galactic Star Cruiser, which was a hotel which was shut down because no one actually went. It was seriously overpriced. It had really corny advertising what was there. I think it was just over the top. It's a great idea, but just not for the amount of money. I don't know what money it was, but it was four figures, whether that was American or Australian. It was something like that for one night. It's just too much. And this type of thing would work if it had a more realistic price tag. That was the key. But obviously they worked this type of thing to be really expensive. Thinking Star Wars fans would fork out a lot of stuff. We'd fork out a lot of stuff for a lot of things. But that hotel failed because it was way out of the universe for any droid or alien or human or anyone to afford. Anyway, so that was a comment from Michael from Werribee South. The next one is a comment from another person. Thankfully, that's great, and the person's name is Author Paul G'day. I'd say G'day. Author Paul G'day or G'day. I'm sorry if I'm butchering people's names. My God, I'm doing the best I can. So that person is, this fan film is the best of them all. We are less than a year away from a feature-length AI film. He or she is talking about the last episode I had, which was about Beggar's Canyon. I agree that is the best fan film. The other thing that I'll say comes equal was the reimagining of the New Hope scene with the different lightsaber skills, and it's called a New Hope reimagining. Someone did it. It was so good. It was amazing. But now this one does compare with the level of that. Maybe you're going to see differences in quality of CGI, but just the idea was, really, really well done with that, the reimagining of New Hope, Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan Kenobi. Great, but this, I agree with author Paul G'day or G'day. The fan film was the best of all of them. I think everyone has something to say, but yeah, I really agree. It's, I gave it 11 out of 10. I'm sure this guy's going to give it off the charts as well. But anyway, thank you very much for that comment. So we're going to go back to Michael from Werribee South. He loves this show, my God. What is the name of the Moff played by Giancarlo Esposito in the Disney Plus series The Mandalorian, who seeks to rebuild the Galactic Empire by capturing the baby Yoda known as Grogu? He shares a name with a biblical prophet known for his calling and later victory over the Midianites. I think that's how you say it. So Moff Gideon. That's it. No Google, Moff Gideon. Thanks, Michael. So the final question coming up, or maybe comment, because I've not checked these comments today, I've just went freestyled, is by Michael from Werribee South. Gina Carano plays what rebel turned mercenary who often helps the titular bounty hunter on Disney Plus's The Mandalorian. Her last name is the same as a different sci-fi franchise created by Frank Herbert. Well, it's yeah, I know this. I've got to actually Google this because I can't remember the name at the top of my. Sorry, it's Cara Dune. Cara Dune. I thought she was a great character. There was a little bit of trouble. I think she resigned or got sacked from Lucasfilm. I do think we're gonna see her again. I don't think she's buried in the sand that Anakin hates, but I think we will see her again. I thought she was great. She's not the most detailed actor, but for me, I thought her detail in the acting ability for especially that character Cara Dune was great. I'm all for her. And not just that, she's very good looking. She's a strong woman, and that's it. She is the woo man, in a funny way of putting it. Anyway, so that I think is all the questions. Let's double check. Yeah, that's all the questions today from the Force Always. Please subscribe to the channel The Force Always. I'm here 3 or 4 times a week. Heat or cold, I'm still here. I give you the news, the views, the reviews, interviews. Send your comments into the YouTube channel directly. I will read them on the next possible show or or answer the question. I'm not Mr. Trivia, but also just to let you know that it's got to be appropriate for the channel. And anyway, until next time, my friends, keep rocking.